What's up YouTube, Mbuna Marcus here. Figured it was time to do another fish room fish tank update video. As you can see in front of me, this is my 120 gallon tank that I keep in my living room. Might look a little different because it's missing the top. I took the top off. I gotta clean the filters out tomorrow. I gotta bleach some of the intake tubes that you see at the back. You can't really get a good look. You can notice that the one's a little bluer and the other one's dark. I'm running 2 Emperor filters off the back, but they're caked in some old hard algae. So basically going to take the intake tubes out, bleach them, make sure they look brand new, put them back in, then I'll put the top back on. The reason for that is I want to do another showcase video of the 120 gallon like I've done with a few of my others in the past, but I need everything looking mint. I don't want everything looking good and then some guy making a comment telling me to clean my intake tubes. So other than that, you can see everybody's doing quite well. There's a lot of color in the aquarium. Most of those fish that I did the unboxing videos of 2 months ago are now quarantined, healthy, and all living now in the 120. I had an older female wolf cichlid that, basically lived in this tank for a long time. And I had her kind of paired up with a red tiger motaguense in my last update video. Since then I've removed them out of the tank. I put them into their own tank in the fish room. That way I can introduce all the newly quarantined peacocks and haps. So as you can see, the color is pretty good, especially from a distance here on the video. This is probably the most colorful I've ever had a show aquarium for myself, based on a freshwater aquarium with cichlids in it. It's easy to buy, nice looking cichlids, but they don't necessarily always coordinate in color always the best. But in this case, I'm pretty fortunate. Everything turned out quite nicely, and it's really something to see in person. Anybody that's been over, when they walk in, they've been really taken back. Again, this tank looks quite a bit different than it did a month and a half ago, and again, I'm extremely pleased with how it turned out. Now I just have to wait for some of the smaller fish to fill out and grow, but again, the tank's going to look superb, probably not too long into the future. So let's take a little closer walk in. I can maybe give you an update on a few of the fish. That's an old Mazobo Magunga female that I've had probably about 4.5 years. She's quite large. Here's one of my go-to favorites. Again, this is a majority now of the fish in the tank are peacocks and haps, but I do have a few Mbuna still kicking around in the aquarium, like this big red top Nekatanga zebra. But this guy, he's been with me for a while too. He's probably, again, about 4.5 years old. He's an older established Mbuna, so his crazy days are a little bit behind him, but again, based on his size, there's not going to be anything in this tank that's going to test him for dominance. So he's a great tank boss. Sometimes he loses it if he's in a little bit in breeding mode, but overall there's a lot of space in the aquarium. So if he has to chase someone, out of a hole or break up a fight, he can do so. So again, he's the boss, but he's a very good choice. The big pink guy above him, that's my dragon blood peacock. Again, he's probably about the same age, 4.5, 5.5 years old, about 7 inches in length. One of my favorites. When I bought him, he didn't necessarily show his full potential, but I seen that he might have potential. A lot of the dragon's blood that he was in with were orange, but I seen the pink hue on him, so I made sure that the guy that I bought him from tore his display tank apart just to make sure he grabbed me the right guy. So other than that, everybody's looking good. Most of these fish, again, I'm going to be doing an update, like species profile video of them. Here's my sunshine. These guys I'm really happy with. The guy with the red on the head there, he's the Nairi. These guys have some nice potential, but again, I'll shoot a species only video for them when they kind of hit maturity. Right now he's about 2.5, maybe 3 inches. He's probably got at least another 1.5 inches to go before he's got full adult coloration. So as you can see, everybody's doing very, very well. Everybody's happy, lots of color, and again, I'm quite satisfied. So from here, we'll move on to the fish room. So here's the fish room. Everything's being water changed, cleaned, and everything's looking real fresh. So you can see here, you know, here's the 20-gallon tank. This is one of the many quarantine tanks that I have. I'm going to turn the light on in the fish room. There we go. Now we can see a little bit better. But this 20-gallon tank is going to be turned into my red convict breeding project. Right now, again, just a few fish still in quarantine. Got those rainbow dace. I actually have to move some to a few. I had to spread out a few to a couple other aquariums. They are very, very aggressive on each other. Try to scroll in on this male super quick, but they are super aggressive on each other. So again, they're quarantined, they're healthy, but I'm going to make sure that from this 20-gallon tank, my intent is to put them into either one of my 55s or my 35-gallon tank that I have my large pike cichlid in. I'll just have to move them, obviously, before I introduce them, but yeah, surprised how aggressive these guys were with each other, but obviously doing quite nicely. My breeder marble convict male just hanging out underneath the rock work there. Off to my 55-gallon, kind of my show grow out tank. Everybody obviously is doing well in there. There's my red female convict that's going to be the head of the breeding program. I basically had set aside 2 males and 2 females, and I put them into a 35-gallon tank altogether, and it was like World War III, so that's why the males and the females are being separated. What had happened was a couple of my females paired off, so when I introduced the males, they just went crazy on them. So I had to remove the females, had to remove the males, and basically just going to introduce the large red female here to the male in the 20-gallon tank right beside it. So here's one of my Nekatanga red tops. This is the nephew to my big male that's in my 120-gallon. You know, not full adult, you know, probably around 2.5 inches, but very good lineage, so he's going to turn out quite nicely. So from there, we have my 135-gallon Mbuna tank. Actually, before we look at the Mbuna tank, we'll look down below. See if I can lighten this up for you guys. Some of my tanks have double fluorescence on them, and some of them barely have a single fluorescent pumping out any wattage, so bear with me. It's hard to see this guy at the top. This is another Maison Reef Zebra. Probably my top 3 favorite Mbuna available. This is a new male. I think he came from a farm. Don't think he was wild caught, but he has those real dark cheeks, which I really, really wanted in my Maison Reef males that I purchased before. But my guys never had that. They had the nice masking, but no dark cheeks. So this guy, I picked him up for the intent to breed him. And I picked up a few other guys. Again, some of the Nairai. There's a red tiger Motaguen's female. This guy, Mylachromis. I'm not going to say the second part of the name. It's like Arico something. I can't say the rest of it. But just awesome looking fish. And again, this guy's going to go into my 120-gallon. I just purchased him after the fact, so I just got to give him another week or 2 to make sure he's perfectly healthy. Then that's where he's going to go. The big Maison, he's going to go into my 135-gallon. And that said, let's take a look at the 135. And that's my main Maison Reef. This guy goes back about 4.5 years. And he's probably pushing about 7 inches. He's huge. Psychedelic Babe calls him the Hamburglar because of the masking on his face. Very, very appropriate name. And again, beautiful fish, but he seems to have settled in quite well, you know, over the years. He went through a phase where he was very active and wanted to breed with the females. There's probably about 6 females in the tank. But he's kind of gotten past that in his old age. You know, I don't know how they count the age on a fish, but he's probably, you know, he's past his teens and his early 20s in fish years. You know, maybe he's in his 40s, 50s, and you know, his desire to breed with females is kind of diminished. So still a really, really beautiful fish and would make a real nice showpiece. And again, I did a video on him maybe a couple months ago, but he is for sale. So again, the intent with that other male that you've seen in the 55 gallon is to take his place and to breed with the females that I still have here. It's kind of a shame having all those females if I'm not able to strip or raise any of the fry from these guys. So he's for sale. If you're interested, you know, you can hit me up in my inbox. But again, I am in Canada, so I don't sell or ship anything to the States. Sorry, it's just all the legalities and government red tape that makes it impossible to send anybody fish there. But again, if you don't live too far from me, hit me up, and like I said, this beauty male is for sale. So off now to my 35 gallon quarantine. This tank I'm turning into my new fry raising tank. I think I mentioned that in my last update video. You can see the big Atabapo red female. She's doing super well. She just finally started taking dry food. She's on the Massivore Delight. And you know, I can thank the Cobalt Blue Zebra into enticing her to take the dry food. So fish are, like humans, affected by peer pressure. If you have a predatory fish that does not want to accept dry food, maybe doesn't even look at it or know what it is, if you house that fish with other very active, aggressive eaters, they'll usually follow suit. They'll learn. So again, she's doing well. I picked up this guy. He's a Polypterus, I believe Ansor guy. He's hiding out. I believe he's from, I can't remember. He is from Africa. He's wild caught. Picked him up for a decent price, about $29.99, and he's probably about 10 inches in length. So he's a nice pickup. He's going to go into my Central American tank downstairs. And again, once I find a spot to put all these guys, I'm going to clean the tank out, take the gravel out, and this will be the final stage of, or the growing stage for my African fry and baby fish. So from the 20 they'll go into the from the 20 they'll go into the 35, and then from there they'll hit sellable size, and that's where I'll be bagging them from. So other than that, tank below, this is a new pickup, Longatus species that doesn't seem like anybody knows what it is. I have an idea now as to what it is. But if you're interested to know what it is, message me and I'll tell you my opinion. So other than that, that's where my big female Dovi, not my big one, my second female Dovi, the one from the 120, they're right now currently housed in a 35 gallon, and then the male red tiger Motaguens. Beautiful fish, but he's always had a mental issue. Since I thrown him into the tank, you know, he's just been pouting and hiding. When I walk into the room, you know, I'll catch them out and about interacting with each other, but he's become extremely shy. Soon I hope to move those fish in my bottom 55 up into my other tanks and use that 55 gallon for the Dovi Red Tiger Motaguens pair. From there, you know, eventually I'll take my male and I'll reintroduce them to the female Red Tigers that I have downstairs, but I want to grow those females out a little bit further before I reintroduce them. So here's my fry tank, my main one. Again, I have a 5 gallon one underneath the 135, but no need to waste any time. Bare bottom. maybe make a note that if you go bare bottom, it might be good to spray paint the bottom black, because if you don't, it goes very, very green. So these guys are doing all well. A lot of these are some zebra long pelvic and some high reef Afras. I have a couple actually in there that are got full maturity colors, and a couple guppy breeders in there to house some younger fry. What a great invention. And lastly, this is my 15-gallon quarantine tank, and I have some torpedo barbs in there. Kind of hard to see. Let's see if I can lighten it up. But these guys were a really good purchase. They're around the 4-inch mark, and the color was excellent on them. I also have a Lamprologus kendalli sitting in the tube. That'll be a real nice fish to grow out for the future. So that's it. That's everything in the fish room, and it's off to the basement. So now we're down in my laundry room. As you can see, this is the planted tank that I have. It's a 75-gallon tank. Like I mentioned in my other videos, I dealt with a lot of suspended green algae for a long time. And, this tank just was a whole lot of high maintenance for myself. And, I'm maybe one to blame. It's in the basement. It's not in the forefront. It doesn't get the attention like some of my other aquariums. And I wanted to do something nice or fancy as a planted aquarium, but for the time being, as you can see, I just have a lot of very durable types of sword plants in the tank. That way the tank can kind of take care of itself, and it's not too finicky. So biggest thing with me with this 75-gallon tank was to achieve balance with the lighting. Like I said, I have 4 high output T5s on it. I'm just running 2 bulbs for about 9 hours a day. And that seems to have balanced out the suspended green algae. There's still a slight haziness or cloudiness to the water, but I'm hoping with the addition of some new Amazon swords, and obviously once they become established to the aquarium, that they can maybe offset and beat out the algae as competition. So I'm kind of trying to go the natural route, fight fire with fire, plant against algae. And until I've achieved that, then really I'm not going to be doing anything, to this aquarium until then. So other than that, everything's doing very well. I do have a lot of fish in there. Let's try to scroll in on a few of these guys. Here's my Plecos Vietnamese type fighter fish. Beautiful little male, very active. Awesome little coloration on them. I have 3 or 4 females in the tank also. Some people might be saying, oh, that's a no-no. But you know what? They have absolutely no problem with each other. The females hide out in the plants. And if anything, they kind of, they hold their own very well to the male. And again, I haven't seen really any aggression towards them. Obviously, right there, you've seen the male chase the female off. But overall, this tank's a 75-gallon tank. For fish this size, it's like living in the ocean. So lots of room for these guys to do what they do. As you can see, the females are in excellent shape. There's no bite marks or holes, in the fins or torn up scales. I have just a few different colored females. One that's a little red. She took off somewhere. So, and then I have 2 other larger females. I have a pure white, and I also have another really nice powdered blue, kind of like the male, that I'm going to introduce to the aquarium. So, again, maybe having 1 female beta in the tank would have been an issue. But because I have 3 that are currently in the aquarium and I'm adding 2 more, it's going to disperse any aggression that the male has. So lots of room for the females to run. You can see my black ruby barbs, my harlequin rasboras, a couple red empire gobies, which were the biggest disappointment of any fish purchase I've ever made. And just some of the crypts that I got living at the base of the tank floor there. So again, some laser cories, some sturbays, Again, everything's doing well. It's pretty balanced out. Just dealing with, you know, like I said, that suspended green algae is horrible. And until I'm 100% that it's gone, then I might try my luck at a few finer, harder to grow plants. But until then, it's doing its job and everybody's happy. Below that, this is my 75-gallon South or Central American cichlid tank. Hard to see everybody in there, and they hide. One thing I can say about red tiger motaguents is that they're super skittish for a Parachromis. Probably the most skittish I've ever had. There they are, a bunch of females sitting out in the corner. See if I can lighten it up for you guys. Largest female is probably about 4.5 inches. And these fish that you see here, they were probably, like, they were free swimming fry when I picked them up, and they were probably about a month and a half in age when I bought them a year and a half ago. So considering that they were well under an inch, and you know, not too far off from being newly hatched or free swimming fry, they've come a long way within a year and a half. So 4.5 inch female. Right now I'm a little female heavy, but that's okay. But, you know, I'm not sure about the male I have upstairs. He's a really, really beautiful guy, but he's got a couple screws loose, and we all know that I have another fish that's got a couple screws loose in his head, and I'm just not sure if I want to deal with that. You know, especially now at such a young age, it's a great time to nip it in the bud. You know, maybe I'll sell him off to somebody else, or maybe grow out a couple of the other small males that I have in the tank that you see. There's also another pike cichlid in this tank. He's always hiding really well, so I doubt that we'll see him. It's a lenticulata, wild caught. But again, he was about 6 inches. Oh, there he is. Maybe see his head a little bit from around the rock. Awesome fish. He's probably about 6-7 inches in length. And now he's eating dry food also. So, you know, he's kind of, like I said, he's followed the ways of the tigers in the tank. And, you know, and because of peer pressure, he's learned to eat and accept dry food. Awesome fish. He's still got some of his juvenile pattern, but give or take, you know, it's kind of what he'll look like as a future adult. And again, he took off. So that's basically the 75-gallon. These are the two again in my laundry room. One for my South and Central American cichlids, and we'll tone this down here. And one is obviously for my lackluster planted tank. So here we are. We're going to end the tour with the Dovi. He's looking good as usual. I'm going to scroll in here a little bit closer for everybody. And he's always up to his usual. It's not nearly as bad as he used to be. You can see the females out. Female's gotten huge. She's probably, again, between 10 and 11 inches. They do their thing. She tolerates him. He somewhat tolerates her. And other than that, you know, nothing really new to report in this aquarium. Again, it is what it is, and it's been like that for a few years. So, again, I'd like to do an update video on this guy, but I have a little something in the back of my mind, and I'm hoping that if I can pull a couple things off, that I might have a nice surprise for you guys here in the YouTube community. You know, a nice update video. So I will keep my lips sealed until then, and like I said, you know, here's the wolf, here's everybody else, and thanks again for watching my fish room tour.